The meaning of Nirvana in the Path of Enlightenment, introduction within the vast and profound teachings of Buddhism. Few concepts are as central and yet as elusive as Nirvana. It is often described as the ultimate goal of the Buddhist path, the culmination of the spiritual journey that the Buddha himself completed beneath the Bodhi tree. For more than 2 millennia, Buddhists have revered Nirvana not as a mere philosophical abstraction, but as a living reality, a liberation that ends suffering and reveals a state of profound peace. To understand Nirvana is to understand the very heart of Buddhism, for it represents the destination of the path of enlightenment. This essay explores the meaning of Nirvana, how it is framed within Buddhist philosophy, its role in the path of enlightenment, and its relevance to both practitioners and lay followers. By analyzing its doctrinal significance, symbolic metaphors, and transformative implications, we may grasp why Nirvana stands as the highest ideal in Buddhism. 1. The concept of Nirvana. The term Nirvana, Pali Nibna, literally means blowing out or extinguishing. It refers to the extinguishing of the 3 fundamental fires: craving, tan, aversion, dosa, and ignorance, moha, that keep sentient beings trapped in the endless cycle of samsara, the round of birth and death. Unlike a geographical location or a mystical paradise, Nirvana is a state of freedom from the binding conditions of existence. It is often described in paradoxical terms as the deathless, the unconditioned, or the ultimate peace. The Buddha himself used negative expressions to describe it, not because it is a void or annihilation, but because it transcends language, concepts, and dualistic thought. Nirvana is beyond arising and ceasing, beyond permanence and impermanence. It is the cessation of suffering, dukkha, the third of the 4 Noble Truths. 2. Nirvana in the Buddhas. Enlightenment. The historical Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, realized Nirvana at the age of 35 after years of searching and practicing austerities, rejecting extremes of indulgence and self-mortification. He discovered the middle path, cultivated deep meditation, and penetrated the true nature of reality. In that profound moment of awakening, he extinguished the inner fires of craving, hatred, and delusion. The Buddha's enlightenment was not an escape into oblivion, but a transformation of consciousness. He attained perfect wisdom, prajna, and boundless compassion, karu-a. Nirvana, therefore, is not a selfish withdrawal, but the realization that allows one to engage the world without attachment or suffering. The Buddha spent the remaining 45 years of his life teaching others how to reach this same liberation. 3. Nirvana and the 4 Noble Truths. Nirvana cannot be understood without reference to the 4 Noble Truths, which form the foundation of Buddhist doctrine. The truth of suffering, dukkha. Life is marked by suffering, dissatisfaction, and impermanence. The truth of the cause of suffering, samudaya. The root of suffering is craving and ignorance. The truth of the cessation of suffering, nirada. The cessation of craving leads to nirvana. The truth of the path, magga. The eightfold path is the way to attain nirvana here. Nirvana is explicitly identified as the cessation of suffering, making it the 3rd Noble Truth. The entire structure of Buddhist practice points toward this cessation. Without nirvana, the 4 Noble Truths would be incomplete, for the diagnosis of suffering would lack its cure. 4. The path toward nirvana. The journey to nirvana is outlined in the Noble Eightfold Path, which encompasses right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. These 8 factors are grouped into 3 categories: ethical conduct, skla, concentration, samdhi, and wisdom. Proged through ethical living, the practitioner purifies his or her actions and speech. Through meditation and concentration, the mind becomes calm, stable, and clear. Through wisdom, the practitioner penetrates the nature of reality and permanence, non-self, and suffering, and thereby uproots ignorance. Nirvana is not reached by intellectual understanding alone. It requires the full integration of morality, meditation, and wisdom. It is both a gradual cultivation and a sudden realization, depending on the practitioner's capacities. 5. 2 aspects of Nirvana. Buddhist texts distinguish between 2 aspects of nirvana: nirvana with remainders. This refers to the state of enlightenment attained during life, when the fires of greed, hatred, and delusion are extinguished, yet the physical body remains. The Buddha lived in this state after his enlightenment until his passing. Nirvana without remainder, anupdesessa, nibna. This refers to the final passing of an enlightened one at death, when the body and mind completely cease and there is no more rebirth. This is also called parinirvana. These distinctions illustrate that nirvana is not dependent on physical death. It is attainable in this very life through deep practice. 6. Symbolic descriptions of nirvana. Because nirvana transcends conceptual language, Buddhist texts often employ metaphors to evoke its meaning. A flame blown out, symbolizing the extinction of craving. The other shore, indicating a crossing over from samsara to freedom. A cool cave or a restful place, representing peace and relief from suffering. The unconditioned element, suggesting freedom from dependent origination. These symbols remind practitioners that nirvana is not annihilation but liberation, not absence but fullness of peace. 7. Nirvana in Mahayana and Theravada perspectives. While both Mahayana and Theravada agree on the centrality of nirvana, their emphases differ. Theravada Buddhism highlights nirvana as the personal liberation of the arahant achieved through following the path of moral discipline, meditation, and wisdom. Mahayana Buddhism emphasizes nirvana as inseparable from samsara, pointing to the realization that emptiness, niyat, and compassion allow bodhisattvas to remain engaged in the world while free from attachment. Despite doctrinal nuances, both traditions affirm nirvana as the ultimate liberation from ignorance and suffering. 8. Relevance for practitioners today. For modern practitioners, nirvana may appear distant or abstract, yet it continues to serve as an inspiration and orientation. Even if full enlightenment is not attained in this lifetime, moving closer to nirvana by reducing craving, practicing mindfulness, and cultivating compassion leads to profound transformation. In everyday life, the pursuit of nirvana helps individuals live with greater equanimity, kindness, and freedom from stress. It encourages people to let go of attachments, embrace impermanence, and engage with the world without clinging. Thus, nirvana is not merely a remote ideal, but a living guide for daily practice. Conclusion: nirvana stands at the very heart of the Buddhist path. It is not a distant heaven or a mystical escape, but the cessation of suffering and the realization of wisdom and compassion. It was the goal attained by the Buddha and offered to all who follow his path by extinguishing the fires of craving, hatred, and ignorance. The practitioner finds the ultimate peace beyond birth and death, beyond sorrow and fear. Nirvana is both the end of suffering and the flowering of wisdom, a liberation accessible to anyone who diligently walks the path of Dharma. in the journey of enlightenment. Nirvana is not only the destination, but also the guiding light. It reminds humanity that freedom is possible, that suffering can be overcome, and that the highest potential of the human spirit lies in awakening to the truth.